We're recording on Wednesday, September 10th, and we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge what tomorrow is. It was 24 years ago that terrorists hijacked 4 airliners and slammed them into the Twin Towers in Manhattan and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., in a field in rural southwestern Pennsylvania. And for the young people we bring in here, the September 11th terror attacks are a page in a history book, but for old timers like you and me, I mean, that was we lived through that, and it was very real, and it was pretty scary. We were both in our 20s, and I can't speak for you, but like a lot of 20-somethings, you kind of feel bulletproof. But that veil was kind of stripped away when those planes slammed into the tower.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you will always remember where you were. You always remember the confusion. You'll remember, I know my parents and family were. You didn't know how patriotic your family is until things like that happens, and you'll never forget that moment in time.
Right, and I was working down the street at the Mansfield News Journal at the time, and you have to understand the media landscape in 2001 was not anything like what the landscape is in 2025. The internet was still in its infancy, basically. There weren't social media platforms. There weren't streaming services or podcasts the way people kind of ingest their news now. I mean, the only way people consumed news back then were through cable television and newspapers. And I woke up that Tuesday morning and turned on my television like a lot of people did back then. And I think the North Tower had already been hit. And you're thinking, oh, what a tragic, terrible accident. And then I saw the South Tower get hit live, and it's like, this isn't an accident, and it's like a scary and helpless feeling.
No, it was. I can remember being at work. I was working in a local factory at the time, and a lady came in. She came in screaming, like, I will never forget her voice at that time, and she said, "We are under attack," and we all were just like, what? And so we all went home to be with our families, and just sat, like most people, just sat in front of the TV for the remainder of the day, just praying and giving thoughts and prayers to everybody involved. It was a tragic day.
Yeah,
one you won't forget.
I was living in an apartment in Lexington, and I jumped in my car and came to the News Journal office. I figured that's the biggest news story in the history of news stories, at least in my lifetime. And it was an all-hands-on-deck situation because, like a lot of newspapers, we were in the process of, we were racing around to put out a special edition. I think I still got one squirreled away at the house someplace. And there weren't a lot of need for a sports writer in the newsroom in that situation.
I was going to ask, when did you write your next sports story after that?
Well,
do you remember?
I mean, what happened, and it's kind of people kind of consider the sports department the sandbox of the newspaper, and that day, the First Associated Press high school football state poll moved, and Madison was 3-0, and they were ranked in Division II. And so I drove out to Madison to talk to Matt Gotzel, who was the coach at the time, and Matt and I were talking near the practice field, and I remember looking up and seeing a jet fly over, and at the time, all air traffic was grounded, and I'm thinking, either that's a military plane or that's the president getting evacuated. That's Air Force One maybe, and I think I've actually looked, and Air Force One was flying from Nebraska back to Washington D.C. around that time, and it flew over Ohio. I don't know if it was that or not, but I mean I remember there was an empty sky, and that was unusual, and then there was just the one plane in there. I mean, Zach, you were young. You were in grade school.
I was in 7th grade.
What do you remember?
Oh, I remember the teacher wheeling the TVs into the, there's like, we're under attack. I think they said that we were under attack, and then we got let out early and just went home, and like everybody else was glued to the TV. And as a middle schooler, I couldn't tell you my exact thoughts and perspective at this point. But I mean,
hard to wrap your head around.
Just a lot of questions and a lot of like concern, and kind of watching my parents' reactions through all of it.
And Hayden, you were a toddler. I mean, you were what, 3 or 4 years old? I mean, I'm interested, like, for your generation, how is 9/11 taught to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think about a month and a half shy of turning 3, so obviously no first-person memory or anything about that day. But yeah, you get into a spot where at some point it starts getting worked into the education system, and you're teaching about it, and so I think a lot of it is trying to get a sense of what people went through, like the things that you're saying, but you can't experience it yourself, so you're trying to get it through their accounts. So that was largely, how I came to know what happened that day, what it was, whether it was, videos that they would show. And I mean, as far as we are now removed from it, there's lots of documentaries and different things about it, but it always kind of felt weird. It's a different kind of fear. You can never replicate the fear that was felt that day by people like yourselves. But certainly, over the years, you learn of the gravity of that moment.
Right.
One thing, and I know we have to move on, but one thing that's so different about that time is just how the lack of information has changed so much. When things happen now, we all know what it is, when it is. There's no lack of information. Right. Every body is a video camera. So everything is in front of your face. You have all the confirmed information within seconds. Then something so major happened, and there was hours where people had no clue. They knew something had happened, but there was hours where people we didn't know, and there was so much misinformation.
Right.
Like for hours, people thought it was like a small little accident. A small little plane ran into the building by accident. And we went on that for hours before we actually knew it was a terrorist act. So that's just the switch that has happened in the last couple decades since then.
Right. And, we'll jump into it here, but I thought it was important that we kind of took a moment to remember the almost 3,000 people who died 24 years ago.
For sure.
I scorched the earth with these hot lines for the millionth time. Fire and brimstone erupted from the microphone. I steal the show and like a thief in the night, so I'm gone.
Kind of breaking new ground today on this week's episode. We used to host a podcast a few years back, and we were very Mansfield centric. It was mostly Richland County kids, and we would occasionally dip our toe into Ashland County. But in the time that we were on our hiatus, we expanded our footprint into Knox County, and we are joined for the first time by a Knox County athlete. We have in studio Centerburg Jr. His name is Jackson Ballinger, and he is already he already has 21 Division I offers. And Jackson, thanks for making the trip to Mansfield.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
Before we dive into it, let's take a minute to thank our sponsor, Graham Auto Mall. It's whether you're cruising in for a new ride or keeping your current one in top shape, Graham Auto Mall has you covered. Shop a huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles, or trust their expert service team to keep you on the road. If you're in the market for a vehicle, do yourself a favor and stop by Graham at 1515 West 4th Street in Mansfield, or visit GrahamAutomall.com. Graham Auto Mall, your hometown dealer. And Jackson, before we get into the football piece, I mean, you heard us talking, and I'm interested to hear this too. I mean, how is 9/11 taught to high school kids in 2025? Is it a page in the history book? Is it a chapter in the history book?
Yeah, I mean, every day, 9/11, every year, we would talk about it. We would get a presentation. We'd have a whole day on it. We'd have worksheets. I mean, they really treat it as a huge national event still to this day. They kind of fallen off a little bit in high school recently, but we're just kind of on different subjects. But back when we had one teacher per grade, I mean, that was like our day. And that was kind of our week, too. I mean, it's a huge event.
Right. And rightfully so, right? I mean, that's stuff that absolutely needs to – we should never forget something like that.
No.
Jackson,
absolutely.
Tell us what year you were born in, just so we can all feel old.
2008.
2008. Jesus Christ. Thank you.
Thanks. Now, you guys might not know that Jackson carries is it a 3.97 grade point average? Is that what I read?
Yeah.
What'd you get the A minus in, or was it a B plus?
It was biology my freshman year, first semester biology. I remember that.
And you knew he would remember.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't remember all the A's. You remember that the one that wasn't.
The one B plus. Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about that off the air. I mean, it's very important that, and freshmen don't realize it at the time, but you're ice skating uphill if you struggle that freshman year and don't get that, and you you doing what you do, you absolutely can speak to that.
For sure. So many young students, not just athletes, fall into taking that freshman and sophomore year off academically because they come out of middle school and they feel like, oh man, it's high school, and they just academically take that year and a half, and then they start to realize, wait a minute, if I want to do something with my life, I gotta, and you see a huge jump from that sophomore year to the junior year academically, where they try to get it together, and then they look at their accum, and we try to like, yes, you've got a great GPA for you got a 3.8 GPA as a junior, but you took a year and a half off, and that is hard to get that accum. It is difficult to get that accum GPA up. So the ones that really jump in with both feet as a freshman, those are gold. Because once you figure that out young, but after meeting Mom that was here earlier, I can see why he has it together. I can see why he has it together at such a young age.
As it seems like the academic piece is very stressed in your house. Are we safe to say that?
No, actually, she's kind of lenient on it. I just kind of took it upon myself. Okay. When I was in middle school, I started taking a few high school classes, and I was just on top of it from there out, and I made it a goal for myself to get A's in every class. I mean, they're not the hardest classes I've taken back in freshman year and that time of day. So I mean, if I have the opportunity to get an A, I mean, might as well go get after it.
Right. Are you one of those kids who's taken the college credit plus stuff? I mean, are you gonna go into college with some credits already under your belt?
Yeah, I'm all college classes now at this point. So
that's a good place to find yourself, I would think.
Sure.
I mean, I have a son who's a freshman at Ohio University, and he had 33 credit hours going in, so he's going in as a sophomore. I had exactly 0 credit hours when I went into college, and I don't think I was that wasn't unusual back when I was going to school.
No, that is such a benefit. You know what I mean? That is such a benefit now, and to have students able to do that, and that you took advantage of that, is probably going to benefit you not only academically but financially. Down the road. Was that something that you had your eye on before you got into high school, or did you just kind of figure that out once you got up into high school?
I've always been kind of real focused in school, but once I saw the bigger picture and that I could knock out a year or two at college and get all that stuff done in high school when I'm already there and have the time and not worrying about college football, I might as well take advantage of it. Nice. Because my goal is to go into dental school after college. So nice. If I can get my undergrad done and starting to graduate dental school, that'd be amazing if I could do that sweet. While I'm still playing.
Right, nice. Right. Now, our first 4 guests were all D1 recruits like you, but they were all seniors a little further along in the process. They've already made their decision, I guess. I mean, how far away from you do you think you are from making that decision? I mean, is it coming soon, or is it kind of waiting to see what else pops up here?
Yeah, there's some kids in the 27 class that have already committed, but I mean, they know what they want. They found their school, but I'm still open to a lot more options. And after put my junior tape out there, I'm hoping to get more looks and keep developing relationships with the coaches I've already met. So I'm thinking somewhere around the official visit time frame, which is like from April to June, so late spring, early summer time period.
Right.
Hopefully I can have my school by then.
And that list of schools includes, I think there's six Big Ten schools, 5 SEC schools, Florida among them. I mean, there's some pretty heavy hitters there. I mean, have you kind of narrowed the field yet, or are you still kind of in the wait and see?
Yeah, that's a question I'd be asked a lot, but I haven't really tightened it down to like a top 4 or 5 schools like some kids do. I mean, I'm keeping all my options open because a lot can change after this year. Sure. You got coaching changes, and you got players that get caught doing all this stuff. I don't want to be a part of a program that doesn't have a good culture. So if like anything comes out, I just got to make sure I don't set myself on a certain small number of schools. I can still have a broad option. But then again, there's also those schools that have already kind of like crossed off some non-negotiables for me. So they're off the list. So
yeah, it seems like a very, awkward dance between recruiters and recruits. I mean, it's you got to find that right fit. How have you found the process so far? I mean, have you enjoyed the process so far?
Yeah, it's been a blessing. I've been able to go all over the country and meet all these like amazing coaches and learn so much from them and see all these amazing places. It has been getting a little bit more stressful for me recently just because I got my season and then academics now. And now that I'm a junior, they're able to reach out to me. Before I was doing all the effort and reaching out to them, and they would find their ways around it and all the other stuff.
Right.
But now it's like I'm getting a few hundred texts a week. So
dang.
Just having to.
Where are some of the places that you've traveled so far?
Yeah, I in my first year recruiting, about till the end of my sophomore season of football, I only took trips in Ohio and around the bordering states. But for some spring practices, I took a little swing down south. I went to places like Duke, Vanderbilt, Alabama, USF, and Florida in that little time period I had for my spring break.
That's
and I was
fun.
able to.
That's fun spring break.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's pretty much all the vacations are anymore.
What were a couple of the campuses wise, like just like the vibes, like initial vibes? You don't have to tell me like who's in the who's in the lead or anything, but what were a couple of them that stood out to you in a good way?
Right. I mean, the campuses down south are a lot different than the campuses up north. I mean, just culture alone and the people, and I mean the weather too. You're not gonna have snow in Florida.
Right.
So.
I saw you were in Oxford, Mississippi for Ole Miss's season opener, and then last week, in Knoxville. I mean, what are the game day, atmosphere? What's the game day atmosphere like at some of those places, those SEC schools? I would imagine it's off the chain.
Oh, yeah, it's electric. I mean, just last weekend when I was in Knoxville, they seat about 106,000. I bet 106 out of 106,000 were there to see him play ETSU. It was awesome. And then Ole Miss was nothing short of that. I mean, they were electric from the rip and went out in there and got after it, both of them.
Who else you got coming up in terms of game day visits?
I'm going to Florida on October 4th and then Ohio State on November 1st.
So those are some pretty heavy hitters there. After.
Yeah. That is that's big time.
Now you got your first offer, I think, in May of 2024, if I'm not mistaken, which was the spring year, freshman year. I mean, that's unusual, I would think, to be getting Division I offers then. I mean, was it kind of a surreal feeling for you for that first one to roll in?
Yeah, like I said before, I never thought this would get this big. So before Miami, Ohio, I went with my coaches and another player that was getting recruited at the time from Centerburg to Bowling Green and Toledo spring practice. And the whole thing kind of runs through Twitter nowadays. So once I got my exposure out there, I got on a bunch of other coaches' radars. And I went to Miami, Ohio spring practice, and Coach Martin, head coach, stepped aside and talked to me and gave me my first offer. And I was through the roof. It's a surreal experience. It never gets old.
And then your first SEC offer from Kentucky a month later. I mean, that's getting a MAC offer is one thing, but getting an offer from the SEC, that's something else entirely.
Yeah, I was like, it's go time now. We're getting after it.
The recruiter for Kentucky, Vince Marrow is a guy that I know a little bit. He's been up here. He recruited Tyrell Asian a few years ago. Kate Stover. Vince is now, he took a different job. He's now the GM at Louisville. How important are relationships in this whole thing? I mean, when a guy like that who's recruiting you to one school, when he goes to another school, does that change your opinion maybe one way or the other?
Yeah, I've started to see it already this season. I mean, you had the coaching change at West Virginia, and then obviously Kentucky as well. I already had contact with the new coach at West Virginia and Kentucky coming, and they just want to make sure with the new coaching staff I still have my offer and it still stands, and start developing a relationship with a new coach. I mean, in my opinion, it's more about the staff than it is the school itself.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that I have a good relationship with the staff at wherever I'm looking to go.
Jackson, I was going to say, every single guy that we've got to talk to this year has pretty much had high expectations since they got in high school. And I mean, we bring up, you get your first offer as a freshman, as you've navigated the last couple of years, and now you're at the start of your junior season. I mean, what are some of the ways you just keep focused on doing what you do now on the high school field? Because that obviously will lead to, interest from schools. But as you're accumulating these schools, what kind of helps you kind of just, stay on a straight path while also trying to juggle all of it at the same time? Has there been anything that's really been helpful for you? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but then again, I'm not the average kid, so I make sure I have a set schedule. I set aside time for academics and athletics and family. I try to keep a close circle with people that want what's best for me, and they understand what I'm going through. So, I mean, just having that, they support me. It's very helpful, and I can get all my stuff done and still be a teenager, because when all is said and done, I'm still 17.
That's a good way to do it.
Florida comes in and offers. I'm not sure when that was, but April, and you were down there in June. Tell us about the Grill in the Ville. What is the Grill in the Ville?
That is something else. It's a really cool experience. I'm able to go and hang out with the coaches and less of a football style of visit. I mean, we're out there, we're playing games, we're doing scavenger hunts around campus with all the coaches. I was with the tight end coach, Coach Calloway, on my team, and we got last place, so he got thrown in the ice bath. So hopefully the next team he has can bring it home for him.
And you mentioned it, Russ Calloway's the guy who recruited you, tight ends coach and the offensive coordinator, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and he spent some time in the NFL. Does a coach's resume, especially a position coach like that, does that play a factor in this too? I would imagine that the NFL is at least on the radar, and if you have a guy who is, had that experience, I would think that's a pretty influential piece for you.
Yeah, that's huge. He's gone out there and he's told me all these things, and he's backed it up with his resume. It's great to have a guy like that. I can learn from him. He's coached some of the best, and I want to be some of the best, so that's a great guy to be around. Right.
Now you're an edge rusher on a defensive end, I guess, and do you prefer offense or defense? Are you better at offense or defense? Where are you there?
Offense is what I'm getting recruited for. I really love offense. I like scoring touchdowns and getting the nasty blocks too. There's so much to it. I like the schematic part of it too. There's just so much that goes into it, and I feel like that's part of the game that I thrive in as well. Defense is more just kind of get after it, get loose, especially more so D-line than it is the secondary. So I'm able to just line up and go get nasty.
Right. And there's been, we've had some big time tight end recruits in the podcast studio from Braden Fogel and Joe Caudell at Lex. And is it the Cade Stover factor? Does everybody want to be the next Cade Stover?
Well, I think it's the ultimate athletic position. You know what I mean? It's the ultimate combination of skill and brains, and you know what I mean. It's the catch-all. Can you do it all from that position? And I think some of the most special athletes are tight ends, because not only do you have to understand route concepts and offensive concepts, blocking, you have to be a tough guy, but also you have to be able to. You got to have speed. You got to have hands. There's a lot that goes into being a tight end. So, there's not. It isn't just picking a guy who's a good athlete to be a tight end. There's a lot that goes into it. One of the things that I think is, especially with you being a junior, how has it been difficult for you to, with a lot of recruiting, like you said, you start getting offers as a freshman. Being a part of a team now, and you guys are in the depths of the season now, staying focused on your team success and understanding now, just because you're such a highly touted recruit, what's it like trying to stay focused on your team success and making sure that your team and you're solid on being the best version of who you can be for your team right now? What's that like, trying to stay focused on that in the midst of trying to make good decisions and doing what's best for you down the road?
Yeah, it's got to be Centerburg first, my high school team. Yeah. I can't be where I am today if we don't go out and perform on Friday night. So that's priority number one. And then obviously I have all my recruiting stuff that comes outside, but I'm not the guy that goes out and stays out till midnight doing stuff. And so I make sure I spend all my time either working to get better for my team, myself, or recruitment. So,
what's more satisfying, scoring a touchdown or throwing that block that springs a teammate to score a touchdown?
That is a great question. I've done both, but I think I like blocks better. Nasty block. If I go out and lay someone out, I get more excited for my teammate that scores the touchdown, and they get excited for me for getting the nasty block.
You probably like sacking the quarterback too, then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of teammates, your teammate Hayden Love had himself a day in your season opener. Listen to this. He had 5 catches, 4 of them went for touchdowns, and 240 yards receiving. Yeah. Are you guys aware of what's going on in game, or is that something that you find out afterwards? I mean, that's got to be a school record, I would think.
Actually, he was just a few yards shy of the school record. Yeah, it was. He figured that out. That wasn't great scene, but I mean, he's a great athlete. He's a track star. He went on deep in the playoffs or postseason for track. Right. So I mean, he's a fast guy. He can make the catches. So we got a bunch of playmakers on our team. He's just one of them that we can get the ball to. And
then in week 2, you guys lost to Johnstown. It got a little one-sided. I mean, what went wrong that night, and what'd you learn about yourself as a team that night?
Yeah, we came out and fought the first half and then let it go away second half. I believe they scored first play, second half, something like that. So we just kind of lost focus. We kind of got satisfied, and we had that problem a little bit last year. We tend to get up, and we weren't even up at the time, but we were feeling good about playing a better opponent and being in the fight with them. So we kind of lost focus in going out and doing us, and we started worrying about other things.
Right. And last week, you guys got back into the win column against Worthington Christian. I think you had a sack and a 35-yard touchdown. I mean, does that a win like that kind of build momentum going? I mean, the Knox Memorial Athletic Conference is low-key a really good small school conference. They sent 2 teams to the state semifinals last year, and you guys were a playoff team and won a playoff game on the road. But does a win like that build momentum going into conference play?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's amazing to come off of that loss against Johnstown and put it on Worthington Christian, but we just got to focus one week at a time. I mean, we can't keep looking past our next opponent. We're just focused game plan against them and doing us as well. We can't let that go.
Northmore this week. Northmore is the defending conference champion, a state semifinalist in Division 6. You guys gave them a good game in the regular season last year. I think you're the only team that stayed within 10 points, I think. And then in the playoffs, you guys played them again, and it didn't go as well. I mean, what'd you learn about yourself, and how much is last year a motivation going into Friday night?
Yeah, we were ready to get after it. We've been thinking about it ever since they knocked us out of the playoffs. Obviously, you said we had that game against them in the regular season. That was down to the wire. We had a kickoff return touchdown that got called back because we returned in the end zone. So we were wanting to get them back in the playoffs. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way. But they're a really well-coached team. Past 2 years, they've added 9 weeks of playoff runs, which is almost like a whole season of practice. So they got those new players on the team, but really they're not that new because they've been going up against the best team in the conference on their offense. So.
Right. And we've talked about this before. Like if you're a Marion local in Division 7, that team has won the past 4 small school state championships, and that's 6 extra weeks of playoff games every year. Those kids have played so much more football than I mean, that's a huge deal.
Right, that's an extra season. Specifically for some of the players that don't get a chance to play much, but a lot of times those guys get a chance to play in games that a lot of teams don't get that opportunity. So they get a chance to improve their depth, and that's the benefit sometimes of those teams that get the chance to play deeper. They get that experience, but also get a chance to improve their depth. So that's how those programs get a chance to. You wonder why programs stay good for so many years, but it's because that experience, they don't just get the 10-game experience, they get an extra season of experience within the same year.
Right. And Danville's a team like that in your conference. I mean, that's a team that, is going 3 or 4 rounds deep every year. I mean, that experience is just, you can't replace it.
Yeah, for sure, especially for the skill players. And sometimes, when you have athletes and guys like Jackson who are football players, it's one thing. But sometimes you're going to have guys on your team that are just playing football. You know what I mean? They're just out there. They're having fun. Right. You guys have them on your team. Everybody has them. They're just out there having fun. They're doing it. Their dad told them to get out there and play football, so they're out there playing football. You're going to have them, and every team needs them. But, so they have got to get better, and that's the way they do it. So if you don't have those games, sometimes you're behind. But most teams are going to have the guys that are going to take advantage of every single game they play. But other guys need more and more reps, and that's what those games bring.
Sure. You guys qualify for the playoffs last year as a number 10 seed. You go on the road to Reedsville Eastern. I'm not even sure where that one is. It's in extreme southeast or southern Ohio. You guys win a road playoff game. I think it was Centerburg's first playoff victory since 2014. How big of a deal was that for you guys in terms of getting that experience and taking it into this season?
Yeah, that was huge. We haven't won a playoff game since 2014, like you said. I believe we were the third or fourth team in school history to win a playoff game in general. So that was huge. Went 2-hour drive down to where Joe Burrow played in Athens.
Okay.
And we practiced it we did like a little walkthrough on their field before we went down to Eastern Reedsville, which is another 30 minutes south of that. And
better off chartering a flight.
Yeah, but the entire all the fans traveled. The student section got a bus for them, nice. So they came down too. So we brought the energy that night. I haven't felt an atmosphere like that in my whole career of high school football. Excuse me.
Right, and that's how you build programs, right? You got to get there, and I've always thought that. And you coached, I've always considered winning kind of a process. You got to get there, and maybe you lose that game, but you learn how to compete, and then you just got to take the steps to move it up to the next level.
Right, and you got to get there, and that experience, as you know, it helps you, and it also feeds that hunger to want to get there and then get beyond. Like right now, I know, for you, your goal is like, okay, we got here last year, we want to get beyond. And so, when you're thinking now, and even being a junior, as your role as part of a leader on this team, what are some of the things that you do for some of the younger, and maybe not even younger, but less experienced players? How do you teach or show those players this is what we need to do to take this next step for our football program?
Yeah, I mean, you got, like you said earlier, those guys that don't really get in on the Friday nights. They're Saturday morning players, but they're huge for us in practice, and they know that. We like to tell them they're going up against the best team in the conference, so they're getting that game day experience every Monday through Wednesday. I mean, I just let them know that. I try to coach the young guys up. They know they can come to me. I'm a big fan of the younger guys, actually. I like their class, and they're good guys, and they are bought into the program, and they know that we're the example, and they try to follow us, and it's a tight-knit group, so even the younger guys can go with the older guys.
Just talk a little bit about the evolution, your evolution, maybe as a leader. Do you kind of feel yourself, do you kind of feel responsible to kind of take some of the younger guys under your wing and show them the ropes?
Yeah, I have a bigger spotlight now more than ever, sure. So I kind of have that expectation to lead, which I feel like I've stepped into the role. And, there's verbal leaders and there's lead by example, and then there's people that say they lead by example.
Right.
So I like to say that I lead by example, and I'll speak up when it's time to speak up, make sure we're locked in when it's time to lock in. But, leading by example, that's in the game and outside of the game. Got to get your academics. You can't be out late at night during the season. You got to be focused on the game, and I make sure that the young guys know that I'm an example they can look up to for that.
And it's as a former coach, it's good when your best player is also your hardest worker.
Well, absolutely, and I can speak to that because it makes it easy on your coaches. They can always point to the best player. They can always say, hey, and they can challenge their best player. The biggest attribute that I could always say for my best player is I can challenge them to be better, because that way I don't have to challenge the kid who's only out there because his dad is making him come. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that way if I can challenge my best player, then he can challenge the rest of the team. And I will tell you this, that I've always known, and I was a guy as a player, and I've known players that were lead by example guys, and I think as you grow in football, you'll learn that the lead by example guys will do a good job of that, and there will come a time in your career where the lead by example will turn into verbiage. And it will have to, because you're going to be like, they're watching me, but pretty soon your voice is going to become so necessary that they're going to watch you so much that everything you say, whether it's small or large, is going to mean something. And when I would tell my leaders that were tremendous leaders, but they didn't necessarily weren't comfortable they didn't have to be the rah-rah guy. I didn't want them to be that because I wasn't their personality. But I did encourage them to utilize their voice, especially for the team, because that is going to be necessary. Now, that is going to be in your comfort zone, but I'm going to tell you your voice is going to be necessary for your team and your leadership and your evolution. It's going to be necessary.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, like you said, you got like people that listen to even the smallest thing you say. So Absolutely. You got to make sure you're doing. That's right. You got to get you right first, and when the time comes, you speak up and you be that role model and you teach them.
That's right.
F, you and I are big fans of multi-sport athletes, and I think for the first, you're not a basketball player, right?
No, used to be.
For the very first time, we have a non-basketball, nonetheless, a track athlete, a sprinter, a long jumper,
acceptable,
and a shot putter and a discus thrower. I mean, you kind of do it. Are there things that translate from sport to sport, do you think, in terms of the way you prepare?
Yes, 100%. I mean, first off, game day is game day, so you have that mentality. I love track because you get 2 to 3 opportunities a week to be in that competition period. When I was a freshman, that's when I stopped playing baseball and basketball, and I knew I didn't want to do nothing because I love to compete too much, so I picked up track in the spring, and then just this past year and this year I'm going to pick up track in the winter as well. Mm-hmm. So just being able to like line up and go in the ring or about ready to jump, it's just that mentality.
Right. I can't envision a scenario where the Centerburg basketball coach is not begging this kid to come out and be 6'4" and be my power forward.
Please. I'm trying to develop some NIL sponsors or something in high school. I don't even know if you could do that in high school. That's what I'm doing if I'm in Centerburg.
When the time comes, are you one of those kids who's going to graduate early to get the jump start on your college career? Is that something you got some time before you got to make that decision, but have you put some thought into that?
Yeah, I'm planning on graduating early and going to get the head start. I mean, in my opinion, it's just a huge advantage. You get a whole off season with your strength coach, your position coach, right, just running the offense. I mean, some schools put in their install like 4 times by the time you would come in as a junior. So I think that's just huge.
And talking to the guys that we've talked to, they're not pressuring you to do it, but they're pressuring you to do it.
Right, right. It's the best decision. They may let you know that.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I've talked to a couple coaches, and they said, and it was a group of schools in particular, and I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but they said, well, here are the weight gains our guys who got here early have made, and they know that the implication is that you better get there early.
Right.
Is it? I mean, and that's just the way football is now.
Well, and I think, and we've talked about this with the other recruits, and when you weigh everything, it's still a personal decision, and I really, I still think that young people really ought to weigh it because it still is a decision. There's still something to be said about your senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And right. I don't want to be that lone voice crying in the wind for senior prom and senior, you know what I mean? I don't want to be that lone voice crying in the wind, but there's still something to be said for those moments that you will never experience and being with your friends and those last moments, because they are special. But especially for young men that are going into this level of recruiting and these level of schools, this is life-changing. These are life-changing events. So, it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
What's the and we've had this conversation with some of the other guys too, but what's the coaches or recruiters I'm sure are talking to you guys about NIL. I mean, what's that conversation like? Are they talking to you about opportunities to make some money?
Yeah, I've heard some numbers already, but I'm not focusing on all that. I'm sure I'll hear a lot more of that stuff once my official visits come around and it gets game time decision. But that's not going to influence my decision any more than like the place. The people are the most important thing to me. So no amount of money is going to make me go be miserable someplace for 5 years.
Yeah, you said the people. What are a couple of your top indicators?
Yeah, some of the coaches have thrown out there their family is comfortable being around the guys, and I'm not a father anymore, but I would assume that I would not want my kid with guys that I didn't trust. So correct, that, yeah. He just feels like he needs to protect his room with the guys in there so they can protect his family. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like that aspect just was really attractive to me.
Well, what do you think you do well, and what do you need to work on before you make your decision and get to a campus?
Yeah, just got to make sure I'm clear-minded and have the right goals in mind. I mean, I can't go somewhere and like get so bought into all the flashy stuff they're throwing at me, because I know that's going to come. And like you said before, the NIL, I just need to keep my head focused on what I want and what's best for me.
Right. Well, before you make those decisions, I mean, what are your goals for the rest of your high school career here? I mean, what would be a perfect ending for your time at Centerburg?
Well, I mean, there's only one team that can finish the season with on a win, so that would be the ultimate goal for me. I'm not really looking at individual stats, really. I just want to make sure I feel as confident as possible leaving my junior season film out there for the rest of my recruitment to depend on.
Sure.
Jackson, it's going to sound like a simple question, but I mean, all the things we've been talking about for almost the past hour, I mean, as kids, I think we grow up playing football in the backyard. It's a dream for everyone to get the opportunity that's in front of you now. I mean, was there a moment that kind of clicked in your head where you're like, this is reality now? Because, you know, as someone who was a high school athlete that never experienced any of this, you know, is it kind of like a dream come true, or was there kind of that click in your head?
Yeah, you know, it's been so like uniforms ever since it started. I've just been kind of going with the flow. But just like the other day, actually, my mom told me that one of her friends came up to her and said, just think about in a few years here, little kids will be running around Centerburg wearing Ballinger on the back of their jersey, and like that got to me. And like now the NCAA game too, like I'm gonna be able to play myself in the game. I mean, that's gonna be fun.
Absolutely.
Are you a big video game player? What do you do when you're not playing football?
No, I haven't. I probably haven't touched a video game console in over a year. But it's really just football. I don't have much free time for hobbies. Like music though. I used to dabble in the piano a little bit.
Okay.
Kind of a little self-taught, but I couldn't play anything anymore.
Well, good. We introduced a segment a few weeks ago. It's called the 2-minute drill. We'll just throw a bunch of questions at you, and you answer them rapid fire here. You have a 3.97 GPA. What's your favorite subject in school?
Math.
Who's your favorite teacher?
My science teacher.
Okay. What's his or her name?
Miss Fowler.
All right, Miss Fowler. Have you given any thought what you want to major in college? Oh, I guess you're gonna try and be pre-dent. Is that right?
Yes, dentistry. It went down with family friends, and they're both dentists, and I job shadowed, and that's what I want to do.
Nice.
Is there a player in college or the NFL that you consider, like, you kind of pattern yourself after? Is there someone that you think you play like?
Yeah, I've been watching George Kittle's game. I mean, he's probably a common answer. He's probably the best tight end in the league right now, but I really like how physical he plays, and he can go make a catch too.
All right, here's one, you guys. The annual Centerburg Oldtime Farming Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Starts September 19th. What's your favorite event at the Oldtime Farming Festival?
You know, I'm not normally one that goes to all that stuff, but the apple cider. They have homemade apple cider. They grind the apples right in front of you, and you can walk out with it right there.
Right. What does life after football look like? I guess you want to be a dentist down the road, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I just want to – I'm not really a guy that wants to go out there and make a ton of money, but I just want to be stable and have a nice family and be happy and content. I mean, I don't want to have any regrets. I don't want to look back and say I want to start over. I don't look back now and say I want to start over, so I want to keep having that feeling as I get older.
And the last one, where does the Freddie Berg Trophy live right now, and how important is the Freddie Berg Trophy? The Freddie Berg Trophy, for you guys who don't know, is Fredericktown and Centerburg playing Week 10, and it's a big rivalry game. So tell us about the Freddie Berg Trophy.
It is in the Berg right now.
Okay.
It is in our front office, and we plan to keep it there. They're a good team, though, this year. They got a new coach, and they're well coached, and it's going to be a battle at the end of the season.
Well, good. That's everything I got. Great job this afternoon. We really appreciate you making the 50-minute drive into Mansfield, and best of luck to you the rest of the season. And for you out there listening, thanks for listening, and check back in next week.